Rush Limbaugh, the EIB Network. Here is Greg in Louisville, Kentucky. Great to have you on the program, sir. Hello.
Hi, Rush. Good to talk to you.
I appreciate your patience in waiting to appear on the program, Greg.
Oh, it's always worth it. I wanted to say, I think I disagree with you about Cuba. I think that's exactly the right way. Look at the history. The Soviet Union is gone. It's no longer communist. Eastern Europe is no longer communist. China is not killing 40 million people like they did in their Mao anymore. It's a much freer society. Still got a long way to go, but it's much freer than it used to be because of the trade and exchange that we've had with the West. The two communist countries that are not free and are still holding on are North Korea and Cuba. Remember, the Berlin Wall was built to keep people in, not keep people out. So I think openness and exchange and free trade and travel is going to do more to destroy the Castro regime than anything else.
Well, okay. Well, then let's just be patient, and we'll see. Fidel's going to die at some point if he's still alive. He's still going to die at some point. So we can't credit the lifting of the embargo for that when that happens because he's been sick.
No, I don't think that's. But I think eventually that will happen. But I'm saying the best way to expose the people of Cuba and to open up the society is to have an open exchange,
right?
And have people travel there, travel here, broadcast, the internet open up, and they're going to open up the internet to some extent.
Right.
So maybe we'll get some free ideas exchanging. That's a good thing. That's what we believe in. I thought it's freedom. We believe in liberty and spreading the word.
Do you think the Cuban people are not aware of what they're being denied?
Well, yeah, they are aware, and they're getting more aware. They'll be a lot more aware of it when the internet is no longer censored the way it is, and they'll get more broadcasts. And absolutely, and the more they know,
there will be. There are going to be more broadcasts.
Yeah, there's going to be more freedom and exchange of information. That's the point. Travel, back and forth travel. And I think that's...
But there's back-and-forth travels happening now. Cuban families, they can get travel permits, and they can even send dollars down, and that's been the case for a decade now.
But the more the merrier. The more that happens, the better off we are. The more we can travel back and forth, the more we expose them to freedom. You know, a slave society can't compete with a free society. There's no way if you have an open exchange. Now, I think we can lead by example. I think it's a good thing. I don't know why Obama did it. Maybe he did it for the wrong reason. I don't know. Yeah. But I think it's. Let's face it. The reason for decades this has been that way is because the electoral votes of Florida. We all know that. I mean, what's the difference between Soviet Union and Cuba? I mean, come on.
What's the difference between the Soviet Union and Cuba?
Yeah, why would we trade with the Soviet Union? You could travel with the Soviet. Why would we trade with East Germany? Why would we trade with China but not Cuba? There's no rational distinction between those places. It's all American politics in Florida. Would you agree?
Well, no, I'm not sure that your assumptions are correct here. I think we didn't openly trade with the Soviet Union.
A lot more.
Now things got into the Soviet Union, a black market. There were things like videotapes of the TV series Dallas was one thing, and believe it or not, TV commercials for Levi's, because the Soviet people were lied to by Soviet leaders, and the United States was portrayed the way the Soviet Union really was. And then people saw evidence of it, not because there was open and free trade between the two countries. It was a black market. We had spies. We were doing our best to undermine them with people in clandestine services working very hard to do it. Now, your better argument would be North Vietnam. If you wanted to cite, I mean, there's a communist country that we lost a war to, arguably, and we did open economic trade relations with them. However, they are still communists, and their people are still poor. But Westerners can't go there. China would be another. If you wanted to argue it this way, right, you can say that free trade with China, but the Chi-Coms still have a vice-like control over their people.
But they're not the way. They're not killing 50 million people the way they did under Mao. Is the point I'm making. It's improved. I'm not saying it's a free society. But there are political, religious prisoners in droves in China. It just isn't reported. Look, I know your thought on this. I've had people express it to me before. You're not totally wet. You know, you can make book on it, folks. You can make book on it. Obama does a typically dumb, dangerous thing.
Shortly followed by Mr. Snerdley finding a caller claiming to be a super conservative, saying, you know what, this might work out. I think openness and free trade, we got to give it some time. I think this is how we spread freedom around. We did free trade where people open up and they see how great things are in America, and it's a great move. And then they call back in 2 years later and apologize for being wrong. Well, we always seem to find those guys.